Good morning, everyone. I am Riya Sinha. Today, we are going to start chapter number 9 of civics, that is public facilities. In this chapter, we will come to know about different types of public facilities, who used to provide us that facilities, who is responsible for it, and what kind of facilities we have given by the government. Here in the first page of the chapter, we have seen some of the caricatures are presented here. In this, it is given as Amu and Kumar are traveling through Chennai in a bus, and as they go around the city, they observe the water facilities available in different parts of Chennai. Here, first Anna Nagar is given, in which Ram Gopal, it is shown in that picture that someone, a driver or someone is washing a car and a lot of water coming out of the bungalow. Means wastage of water is shown in this picture. In that page, Sadapet, in which Padma is in a line and a lot of pots and buckets and other things are there. So in the Sadapet, it is shown that people are obviously facing scarcity of water there, because a lot of drums, pots and buckets are seen in a line in the picture. So in one picture it is shown that people are wasting water there, and in the second picture people facing scarcity of water. Third picture is given of Madipakam, in which it is shown that Shiva is having sufficient water. He is storing water for everything. So for his livelihood, he is having water in a well-to-do way, so that he can live their life properly. So in the fourth picture it is shown, it is of Melapur, in which Subramanyam is there, who is also facing a scarcity of water. Water tank is shown there. Water tank is there for everyone, which is providing water in that locality. So in Chennai, 4 different places are shown in which people have, some areas are there in which people are wasting water, and some areas are there in which people have to face scarcity of water. So in this chapter we will learn about it first. Here first topic is given, water and the people of Chennai. Senior government official like Mr. Ram Gopal live in Anna Nagar, Chennai. This area looks lush and green with lawns maintained by generous spring of water. Bungalows here have tap water for major part of the day. On days when the water supply is inadequate, Mr. Ram Gopal speaks to a senior official whom he knows in the municipal water board, and a water tanker is easily arranged for his house. In Anna Nagar, which we have seen in picture, that is a posh area which where only officials and high grade aristocrat persons used to live there. So bungalows have tap water for major part of the day, and if someday if they used to face inadequate water supply, then they used to speak senior official whom they know in the municipal water board, and they used to provide them water tanker so that their water problems or inadequacy will come to end soon. So like most other areas of the city, Subramanian's apartment in Melapur suffers from water shortage. This area gets municipal water once in 2 days. A private borewell meets some of the residents' water needs. Borewell water is, however, brackish, So the residents use it in their toilets and for washing. And for other uses, water is purchased from tankers. Subramanian spends up to rupees 500 to 600 per month on buying water from the tankers. For drinking water, residents have installed water purification system in their homes. So here another case is given of Malapur in Subramanian's apartment. They used to suffer from water shortage. This area gets municipal water once in 2 days. And the water they used to get from the bore well is brackish, so they use it in their toilets and for washing purpose only. For drinking purpose or for cooking, they have to spend up to rupees 500 to 600 per month on buying water. Shiva lives on rent on the first floor of a house in Madhipakkam and gets water once in 4 days. So shortage of water is one major reason why Shiva can't bring his family to Chennai, and for drinking Shiva buys bottled water. Another case is given of Madhipakkam where they used to get water once in 4 days. So obviously shortage of water is one major reason, and they have to buy bottled water for drinking purpose. Padma works as a domestic help in Saidapet and lives in the nearby slum. She pays a rent of rupees 650 for the hutment, which has neither a bathroom nor a tap connection. For 30 such hutments, there is a common tap at one corner in which water comes from a borewell for 20 minutes twice daily. Only for 20 minutes twice daily, and 30 such families are there. A family gets to fill a maximum of 3 buckets within this time. And the same water is used for washing and drinking. In summer, the flow becomes a trickle, obviously, so that one family gets water only at the cost of another. People have to wait long hours for water tankers. So these are the 4 different situations and conditions which people of Chennai are facing. Next topic is given water as part of the fundamental right to life. Water is essential for life and for good health. Not only is it necessary for us to be able to meet our daily needs, but safe drinking water can prevent many water-related diseases. India has one of the largest number of cases of diseases such as diarrhea, dysentery, cholera, and over 1,600 Indians, most of them children below the age of 5, reportedly die every day because of water-related diseases. These deaths can be prevented if people have access to safe drinking water. So, the Constitution of India recognizes the right to water as being a part of right to life under Article 21. This means that it is the right of every person, whether rich or poor, to have sufficient amounts of water to fulfill his or her daily needs at a price that he or she can afford. In other words, there should be universal access to water. There have been several court cases in which both the High Court and the Supreme Court have held that the right to safe drinking water is a fundamental right. In 2007, the Andhra Pradesh High Court related this while hearing a case based on a letter written by a villager of Mehboob Nagar district on the contamination of drinking water. The villager's complaint was that a textile company was discharging poisonous chemicals into a stream near his village, contaminating groundwater, and which was a source for irrigation and drinking water. The judges directed the Mehboob Nagar district collector to supply 25 liters of water to each person in the village. Okay, so next topic is public facilities. Like water, there are other essential facilities that need to be provided for everyone, and last year we have read about two such facilities, that is healthcare and sanitation. Yeah. So similarly, there are things like electricity, public transport, schools and colleges that are also necessary, and these are known as public facilities. The important characteristics of a public facility is that once it is provided, its benefits can be shared by many people. For instance, a school in the village will enable many children to get educated. Similarly, the supply of electricity to an area can be useful for many people. Farmers can run pump set to irrigate their fields. People can open small workshops that run on electricity. The students will find it easier to study, and most people in the village will benefit in some way or the other. Okay, so
The government's role. Given that public facilities are so important, someone must carry the responsibility of providing these to the people. This someone is the government. One of the most important functions of the government is to ensure that these public facilities are made available to everyone. Now, in this topic, we will try to understand why the government and only the government must bear this responsibility. We have seen that private companies operate for profit in the market. We read about this in the previous chapter in your class 7 book. So, in most of the public facilities, there is no profit to be had. For example, what profit can accrue to a company for keeping the drains clean or running an anti-malaria campaign? A private company will probably not be interested in undertaking such work. But for other public facilities such as schools and hospitals, private companies may well be interested. We have many of these, particularly in large cities. Similarly, if you are living in a city, you will have seen private companies supplying water through tankers or supplying drinking water in sealed bottles. So, in such cases, private companies provide public facilities but at a price that only some people can afford. Hence, this facility is not available to all at an affordable rate. If we go by the rule that people will get as much as they can pay for them, then many people who cannot afford to pay for such facilities will be deprived of the opportunity to live a decent life. So clearly this is not a desirable option. Public facility relate to the people's basic needs. Any modern society requires that these facilities are provided so that people's basic needs are met. The right to life that Constitution guarantees is for all persons living in this country. So the responsibility to provide public facilities therefore must be that of the government. Now, where does the government get money for the public facilities? Every year we must have heard the government budget being presented in the parliament. So this is an account of the expenses that government has made on its programs in the past year and how much it plans to spend in the coming year. So in the budget, the government also announces the various ways in which it plans to meet these expenses. The main source of revenue for the government is the taxes collected from the people, and the government is empowered to collect these taxes and use them for such programs. For instance, to supply water, the government has to incur cost in pumping water, carrying it over long distances, laying down pipes for distribution, treating the water for impurities, and finally collecting and treating wastewater. It meets these expenses partly from the various taxes that it collects and partly by charging a price for water. This price is set so that most people can afford a certain minimum amount of water for daily use. Okay, see, water supply to Chennai. Is it available to all? While there is no doubt that public facilities should be made available to all, in reality, we see that there is a great shortage of such facilities. In the rest of this chapter, we will read about the provision of water, which we have seen is a public facility of great importance. So, water supply in Chennai, as we saw at the beginning of the chapter, is marked by shortages. Municipal supply meets only about half the needs of the people of the city on an average. There are areas which get water more regularly than others. Those areas that are close to the storage points gets more water, whereas colonies further away receive less water. The burden of shortfalls in water supply falls mostly on the poor. The middle class, when faced with water shortage, are able to cope through a variety of private means such as digging bore wells, buying water from tankers, and using bottled water for drinking. Apart from the availability of water, access to safe drinking water is also available to some, and this depends on what one can afford. Once again, the wealthy have more choices thanks to the booming market in the bottled water and water purifiers. People who can afford it have safe drinking water, whereas the poor are again left out. In reality, therefore, it seems that it is only people with money who have the right to water, a far cry from the goal of universal access to sufficient and safe water. In search of alternatives. The situation in Chennai is not unique. A similar scenario of shortages and acute crisis during the summer months is common to other cities of India also. The shortage in municipal water is increasingly being filled by an expansion of private companies who are selling water for profit. Also common are the great inequalities in water use, like we have seen in the chapter also. The water supply of per person water in an urban area in India should be about 135 liters per day, means about 7 buckets, a standard set by the Urban Water Commission. Whereas people in slums have to do with less than 20 liters a day per person, means 1 bucket. People living in luxury hotels may consume as much as 1600 liters, means 80 buckets of water per day. So, a shortage of municipal water is often taken as a sign of failure of the government. Some people argue that since the government is unable to supply the amount of water that is needed, and many of the municipal water departments are running at a loss, we should allow private companies to take over the task of water supply. According to them, private companies can perform better. Now consider the following facts. First is, throughout the world, water supply is a function of the government. There are very few instances of private water supply. Second, there are areas in the world where public water supply has achieved universal access. Third number, in a few cases where the responsibility for water supply was handed over to private companies, there was a steep rise in the price of water, making it unaffordable for many. So cities saw huge protests with riots breaking out in places like Bolivia, forcing the government to take back the services from private hands. Within India, there are cases of success in government water departments, though these are few in number and limited to certain areas of their work. The water supply department in Mumbai raises enough money through water charges to cover its expenses on supplying water. In Hyderabad, a report shows that the department has increased coverage and improved performance in revenue collection. In Chennai, the department has taken several initiatives for harvesting rainwater to increase the level of groundwater. It has also used the services of private companies for transporting and distributing water, but the government water supply department decides the rate for water tankers and gives them permission to operate. Hence, they are called on contract. Okay, now see the conclusion part of your chapter. See, public facilities relate to our basic needs as we have seen in this chapter earlier, and the Indian Constitution recognizes the right to water, health, education, etc. as being a part of the right to life. Thus, one of the major roles of the government is to ensure adequate public facilities for everyone. But progress on this front has been far from satisfactory. There is a shortage in supply and there are inequalities in distribution. Compared to the metros and large cities, towns and villages are underprovided. Compared to wealthy localities, the poorer localities are underserviced. Handing over these facilities to private companies may not be the answer. Any solution needs to take account of the important fact that every citizen of the country has a right to these facilities, which should be provided to her or him in an equitable manner. Okay, so we have completed the explanation of chapter number 9. Hope you all understood this chapter well. If you have any query, then you all can ask to me. Thank you. Have a nice day.